Well, good morning, and another upset, pushing the wrong button and making sure that a whole bunch of nonsense came up and then was designed to the trash can, but it takes time to get back again. And here we are, hopefully, for 10 minutes. I'm going to try a little experiment this morning. If there are not too many people on the train, I'm going to try a little broadcast from the train. That'll come somewhere around 6:30 or so, I suppose. Perhaps a little before that, and we'll see what happens. Good morning from Keith Hayes at the Runaway Coffee Shop on Lewis Railway Station. I Wednesday said that the train had rolled in on time, and indeed it did, and then it sat, and it sat, and it sat, and it sat, because there was flooding in Haywards Heath Tunnel. Now, there's absolutely nothing that any railway company could do about that, and that's quite forgivable. They did actually get the trains going as quickly as they possibly could, and we pulled out at about 6:30. But from there on in, it was absolute disaster. We had to inch our way to Haywards Heath. There we had to wait because the train that was joining us from Littlehampton was 3 trains back, and it was inching forward. And then when we got going again, of course, we missed all our slots, so we inched all the way to East Croydon. Then it was a little freer, eased into Clapham Junction, and they got a free run into London Victoria at 9:20. So that journey was 3 hours and 10 minutes. And that was rather unacceptable, particularly since the information boards were saying you add 60 minutes to your journey. All right, we had 60 minutes to our journey. That would have been rather 7:45, possibly 8 o'clock. 9:20 was unforgivable. However, there we are, it happened, and do be careful when you get warnings of weather, particularly since we're in a very unsettled weather pattern at the moment. Even the weather experts don't know what to predict. It's quite warm at the moment, at this hour of the morning, which is about 10 to 5. But some experts are predicting we're going to have a heat wave, and others that we're going to have huge amounts of rain and winds and storms. Who knows who's right? Anyway, I will try this experiment of trying to do a little broadcast from the train a little later. In the meantime, just a couple of things that I want to talk about. First of all, I am finding that my fellow citizen is getting more and more upset at the mudslinging and the nonsense. And if I am sad to say, as a long-standing journalist, propagated by a lot of the media, which is just absolutely stupid of them, the mudslinging that's going on over the election in the Conservatives, over Brexit, over the Labour Party and some of its supposedly ethical non-entities, non-sensitives, and you know that it's rather difficult to take anybody seriously as long as all they can do is find the foulest names to call one another and tittle-tattle on whether somebody had a row with his girlfriend. And the fact of the matter is we want to know, what are they going to do about the country? What are they going to do about various issues that seem to have been lost because of this rather emotional Brexit thing? And that spreads all the way down the line, because if you read social media, I mean, some people are just, when it gets down to, I will not get my Spanish tomatoes, I mean, it just shows the level of nonsense that has gone on. And then one side accuses the other of lies, and the other side says, no, you're not. We're not telling lies, you are, and so on and so forth. It's just all beyond the pale, and it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable behaviour. Now, let me point out to you that in the United States, and to some extent in Canada, and 1 or 2 other countries, is because the established parties, the establishment, if you like, couldn't get its act together, didn't understand the needs of its electorate, is they divided, and they got President Trump. And they got or Prime Minister Trudeau. I have little time for either of them politically. However, one of the things that I think that in all the mudslinging that goes on, which is once again farcical and silly, and the mere fact that the Mayor of London would get involved in it is just so juvenile and puerile. The fact is that there are a lot of people in the United States that have jobs where they didn't have before. They have an economy that is reasonably buoyant, and whether it's right or wrong, they have a president who looks as if he's standing up for America. So not all Americans are disappointed in their president. And for us to reflect the fact that we think he's a buffoon is an absolute rubbish and nonsense, because the same thing could happen here. We could easily find that Conservatives are fighting themselves to the death. Labour are in such disarray over so many of their policies that if they ever gain power, I would rather think that the country would be in a bit of a mess. And the electorate know this. We're not fools. And so there's going to be a hiatus. There's going to be a gap in who should govern the country. And of course the Brexit Party have filled that gap so far. And, the funny thing is, I said to somebody the other day who was saying, Nigel Farage this and Nigel Farage that, and I said, well, can you give me an example of the sort of thing you're talking about? What is it that you don't like about him? And, he was stumped. He was just passing on what he'd read or what he'd heard. He hadn't made up his own mind at all. Now, if we're going to really belittle the leader of a party, a leading politician, and it's about time that we learn that we've got to say why we don't like him. Because just emotionally, and I've heard that, is not good enough. Social media, in this particular case, acts against the democratic system, not for it. Make up your own mind about who is whom, or whom is who, whichever way around it is. Boris is portrayed as a buffoon. I had some time for Jeremy Hunt at one time. He did try to institute small-scale television in this country. He failed because he couldn't manage to persuade his civil servants to his thinking, in which case that must be a weakness. So whoever the top two contenders are, I've got my own balanced view of them. I'm not plumping for one or the other at the moment. I'm trying hard to listen to what they have to say, and neither of them are making much sense. So that's what I'm looking for. On the other hand, Farage comes over as a very sensible man, but then he's not in that bitter fight, so he can. So I have to have a reservation about that as well. But the fact of the matter is, the country is in a mess, and that has come down to local level. And here is this is the London Bridge train, and it's coming in 2 minutes early. So perhaps all is well this morning. One of the things that I think that we really have to be careful about with local politics is we also have, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. July the 15th is a key time, because that's when the next full council meeting comes, and that's when the confederation, or whatever you want to call it, the group of various parties who outnumber the Conservatives by about 4 votes, so 19, 23, 4 votes, are going to launch, or so they say, a bid to wrest power from the Conservatives. The Conservatives, of course, are saying, poo, they couldn't possibly do it, and anyway, their leader is not a very experienced politician. This is her first time in council. Well, that's true of about 3/4 of the council as well. We've got all sorts of people that have marched into Southover, and who have no previous experience. But what we do expect from them, experience or not, my goodness me, that train left bang on time, bang on 6 o'clock. What we do expect from the various parties is some statement of intent, and they have not given to me or made any public thing about the 3 main things, in my view. One is this iniquitous cabinet system, which puts power into the hands of a few, but favoured, of course, by the chief executive and the administration. 2 is the merger with Eastbourne. Has it worked? Most people say no. Most people say we've now run by Eastbourne officials, administration officials, who have no experience of the rather wide, sprawling district that we are in Lewis, as opposed to the tight little borough that Eastbourne is. And lastly, are we going to put up with an inefficient administration? Is it an inefficient administration? It's got better in the last couple of days. Is that because we're shouting and screaming? Or is it because the status quo is under threat? Who knows? But there is some semblance of, well, let's put it this way. It looks as if they think they can do it. But will they? That's the point, because they haven't. For about 4.5 years, they haven't. So if they change their spots now, are they going to keep changed? Okay, perhaps talk to you later, but until tomorrow, anyway, Keith Hayes, Mirador Television, coming from the Runaway Bistro on Lewis Station on this Thursday morning, and for the moment it's warm, if not sunny. Toodle pip.